Hey makeup friends, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara. On my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. We try to keep it classy, but a little bit sassy. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I spent my beauty budget on in December. Spoiler, I vastly exceeded my budget. Please go easy on me. I know. It's a learning curve. I'm going to do better in January. I hope. All right, let's get into it. All right, so by way of recap, in December, I decided that I was going to start a low buy year. Now, everybody's low buy is going to be different, one person to the next. It's going to depend on your own circumstances. So my budget may be vastly different from what your budget would be. My budget is $300 a month. Now, I decided on that number because my channel typically generates more than that in a month through AdSense. So I'm trying to get it so that my channel is self-sustaining and I'm not dipping into my actual household income from my outside job. Now, I vastly exceeded that in December. I doubled it. There, cat's out of the bag. The total that I spent in December was $609.10. That includes not only the purchase price of the products, but also includes the shipping costs and any tax that I had to pay. So it's a staggering number. But part of the reason why I wanted to do a low buy was to really learn about my spending habits when it comes to money, because up until this point, I've just purchased what I've wanted. There it is. I haven't really kept track of how much that has cost me. I haven't tallied it up as I've gone along or even made note of what I've purchased. I just have made the purchases and then stuff shows up at my door. That's not a great way of doing it because this $600 could have easily been even more. So there is going to be a learning curve for me. That sounds like an excuse, but it's the truth. There is going to be a learning curve, and already just within that first month, I'm starting to see different ways of doing things that is going to help me stay on task and just be more mindful. Now also with December comes Christmas shopping and just spending money in general. And I find that it can get very easy to fall into what I call fuck it spending, which is basically where you're like, well, I've already spent this much, fuck it, what's a little more? You get me? So I certainly did fall victim to that. Also, I think where I went wrong is that I spent too much of my budget too early in the month, and it didn't leave a lot of reserve for later on. So when, for example, the Nars Claudette collection dropped, I, in my very heart, had to have that collection. If you've seen my review, you know that I am thrilled beyond thrilled with all of the products in that collection that I purchased. I don't regret the purchase, but I do regret that I had already spent the budget when that one was released. So going forward, I'm going to try to pace myself a bit better so that I do have a reserve in case there's an unexpected release that again just stokes those fires at the very depths of my soul and I just have to have it. Okay, caveat, I know that when I say I have to have it, I don't. It's not a staple. It's not a necessity. It's not food, shelter, clothing. I get it. I did not need any of the purchases that I made, but I really strongly wanted. I'm using that interchangeably. I'm using it somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Don't come for me for using the word need because I do very much know the difference between need and want. I get it. I get it, and I get that I could have just waited until my budget refreshed in January, but I didn't, and that is part of the learning process for me. So, with that out of the way, I did want to share with you what it is that I purchased, and we'll go from there. Okay, so some of these items I don't actually have yet, and those are the 3 Sweet Shoppe palettes from BH Cosmetics that I purchased. So I picked up the green one, the blue one, and the orange one, and I'm still waiting on those to be shipped out. So I purchased those on the 12th of December, and I haven't received them yet. Now, what I think I'm going to do though is do this in order of when I purchased them. I'm not going to give you the date or anything because I didn't write it down, but just so that I don't miss anything. So the first purchase that I made was for this one here from Viseart. This is the Violette palette. I have filmed a review and 2 looks, I believe. I just have not edited it yet. So I will be doing that soon, but I will spoil it briefly to say I am very, very pleased with this palette and I do not regret purchasing it. I think it's beautiful. Viseart and I, it's been a little hit or miss. I've really enjoyed some things. I've really disliked others. This one did not disappoint me at all. Now the total cost for me with shipping and customs fees was $67.80 Canadian in order to get this palette. Next up, Pat McGrath had a sale on her lip products and I was able to pick up one of her glosses for $17. No customs fees, no tax, and no shipping. So this did cost me $17. Her gloss formula is my absolute favorite gloss formula out there. This shade in particular has been sitting on my Sephora Loves list for quite some time. This is the shade Divine Rose. I'm thrilled to death that I picked this up because, like I said, oh, and it smells so good. Her gloss formula is just incredible, and I've wanted this one for quite some time, and I'm glad that I was able to get it on sale. I think it was 50% off, so there we have it. Next up from Sephora, I picked up all 5 of the new Fenty Gloss Bomb creams. I paid a total of $141.25. That includes our provincial and federal taxes here. We call it HST, Harmonized Sales Tax. Now, because I am status Indian, that's just the technical term for it. I say this every time I talk about this. I'm Native Canadian, but I have a status card and it's called a status Indian card. It is what it is. At any rate, what that allows me to do is to submit my receipts to the government and I will get a portion of that HST back. So I get about 66% of the tax back. I save them up for about a year, sometimes 2 years, and then I submit them all en masse. So that number will come down marginally by about $8 or so. But for the purposes of my beauty budget, I'm just going to count everything in there because I don't get the refund back immediately. So I'm including everything in there, but I am just letting you know that at some point I will get a portion of that back. Now I did review these. I did do swatches and tried them all on. I do like them, but there are certain shades that I would not have purchased had it not been for wanting to do a full review of all 5 and show you guys the swatches for all of them. So if I was to do it all over again, if I wasn't going to do a video on them, but I was just buying them for my own personal collection, this is the shade for sure that I would have picked up. This one is Mauve Wives, Mauve. We call it Mauve. I get confused with all you Americans, Mauve. Mauve Wives. That's the shade I would have picked up, and I probably would have picked up this one as well. And this one, I can't read the sticker on. I don't know. It's the darkest one that there is. I literally cannot read that sticker to save my life. I have no idea, but the deepest red one. The rest of them, while they are pretty, and they certainly are prettier, especially these ones, they're prettier on the lips than they look in the tube. I definitely could have lived without them. So a little tiny bit of regret, but it falls under the category of it is what it is. And I am glad that I was able to swatch all 5 of them and share them with you guys at any rate. Next up, I placed an order from Shoppers Drug Mart. The total that it cost me was $19.30. The total value was $140 more than that because I was able to cash in points and receive $140 off of my purchase. But I marked it down as the $19.30 because I did pay the extra dollar and I paid the tax on it. So in that order was the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. I picked it up in the shade 2N, I believe it is. Yes, 2N. I also picked up a Lip Comfort Oil Intense from Clarins. I have not yet worn this, but it is a really pretty berry kind of tone. Very, very pigmented. I have swatched it. It is definitely intense. I also picked up this cream blush from Shiseido. This is their Minimalist Whipped Powder Blush. I picked up the shade number 3. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but Momoko, I believe. It's like a burnt apricot kind of shade. I have worn it a couple of times and I'm really impressed with the formula, and I'm also really impressed with the lasting power of it. I could see myself picking up another one of these down the road. They are $40 Canadian each. So when I do cash in points again in the future, I might pick up a more pinkish kind of tone. And then I also picked up a liquid shadow from Too Faced. This one is in the shade Amaretto. This is one that the shade, it's not as pretty in real life as it was in pictures. It's not terrible, but I do prefer Chocolate Chai from them, which is a bit deeper and a little bit more warm toned. This one just kind of blends out to being not particularly visible on the eye once it's all blended out, but the formula is good. It's just this color, not wild about it. And then the Nars Claudette collection dropped and I fell instantly in love. From the fact that it was, centered around his mother, to the shade selections, to the packaging, everything just looked so incredibly beautiful that I picked it all up. I spent a total, this makes me choke, I spent a total of $185.32 on 3 products. So I did pick up the 6-pan eyeshadow palette. There are the shades in here. This palette is insanely beautiful. The mattes are rich and just beautifully pigmented. They basically blend themselves. The shimmers are gorgeous. And the point that I made when I reviewed this is that everything sort of has the same undertone, particularly in the mattes. So they just blend and transition into each other effortlessly. You do not have to work hard at all with this palette. It lasts beautifully all day on the eyes. I really, despite the hefty price tag, I really have no regrets about it because I know that I'm going to get good use out of this one. I love it so much. And I love the blush duo. I'm generally not a big fan of split pans like this. I prefer that they're in their own individual pan, but this one, it's big enough that you get a brush in there really easily. The shades work perfectly together. They look beautiful one on their own. This one looks like it might be more of a bronzer, but it does work as a blush. It does have enough warmth to it, and it just looks like a beautiful natural flush on my skin. I'm so in love with this blush palette. Like, I'm usually not, like, I like blush, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I would give my life for you. Well, okay, that's a little dramatic, but like, it's fucking beautiful. It's so gorgeous. And then the last thing that I picked up in that collection, I grabbed one of the lipsticks. There were, I believe, 6 available, but I picked up one of the sheer matte lipsticks in the shade Mathilde. And it's just this really pretty pinky brown kind of nude. It's such a comfortable formula. It's such a beautiful color. I like the finish on it. It's like a blurred matte kind of look. So they call it a sheer matte, but it's more like a soft matte. It definitely has good pigmentation. You're not going to be frustrated with it trying to build it up so that it shows up. It definitely shows up. It just has a really soft look on the skin or on the lips. It's beautiful. I love this shade. I love the finish. I love how comfortable it is. So I am incredibly happy with this purchase, even though the price point makes me want to throw up. All right, and then I spent significantly less on 2 palettes from Juvia's place. So I picked up their quads. This one is the Disco Party. This is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. Here are the shades in here. I am not wearing the blue glitter, but I am wearing everything else. Had no problems blending it out, even that really, really deep blue matte. No problems with it. These 2 are pressed glitters. This one is a bit more smooth than this one. This one does feel a little bit drier in terms of the grit of it, but this one applied no problem. I have not seen any of it fall down on my cheeks yet, and I've been wearing it for several hours at this point, so I am very happy with the quality of this one. And then I also picked up their collaborative quad with Melissa. And this one is stunning. This is beautiful. There's only one sort of pressed glitter, but it has the same kind of feel as that gunmetal one in the blue one. So it is almost like a creamy, like really glittery cream, if that makes sense, without it being too emollient. Like, I didn't use a glitter glue with this, and I didn't use a glitter glue when I applied this, and I wore it all day at work without any problems. It creased a tiny bit, but I'd worn it for like 8 hours. I would expect that. It hadn't, again, camped down on my cheeks. It hadn't just blended into nothing. It wasn't just all bunched up in one little line in my crease. It has amazing longevity. And these two mattes are stunning. This one here, again, just like the deep blue, blends so easily. This is just a beautiful, beautiful quad. I'm so happy with it. I think they were $10 each. For me, with the exchange rate and the shipping, I paid a total of $33.25 for these two. All right, and then the last purchase that I made cost me $53.10, and that is the Fenty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation. I got it in the shade 210, and it's just a big old pan here. I think there's like 9 grams of product in here, 9.1 grams. It flips forward, and then there is like a little sponge jobby in here. There is a mirror in the cover. Earlier today, I did film an application of it, and I am going to be doing a wear test. I'm not sure which video is going to go up first, but if it hasn't been released on my channel yet, it will be soon. This is the foundation that I'm wearing today. I really do like the level of coverage that it gives. I do like the finish of it. We shall see how the wear test goes and all of that, but initial impressions are positive on it, but I haven't worn it enough times to really be able to say if I really like it or if it's just okay. So stay tuned for my review on this one coming up soon. All right, and there it is. That is what I spent my money on in December in terms of makeup. Like I said, I obliterated my budget. Don't feel great about that, but I'm here to be honest and transparent, and there it is. I put the idea of doing a budget out there. I'm going to hold myself accountable to you guys in that regard, so there it is. That's what I spent my money on. Now, I have picked up a new planner for 2021. Got it right here. I have a 5-year one at work that just has, like, every day is just the month, and it's really helpful for what I need it to be at work. But this one here is for my channel. And so what I have started doing is not only writing out the videos that I am posting and pre-planning, and then there's sections for like to-do lists and all that, but when I do make an order, I'm also marking it down so that I know exactly when I have spent and what I have spent my money on. So far, it's looking like a total of $90 so far this month, so I still have $210, although I do plan on purchasing some of the rare beauty items that are releasing today as I film, so that number is going to change, but I am going to keep track of it because I want to rein in my spending, and the only person who can do that for me is me. All right, and with that said, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.